receiver, and Jari Evans, the guard, out with a knee injury. So the Packers minus a lot of key people. Minnesota, meanwhile, very healthy. Kai Forbath to kick off for Minnesota. Green Bay won the toss, and the Packers have elected to receive. Trevor Davis, averaging 24 yards per run back, sets up in the end zone, and Case Keenum warms up on the sideline. But first up, we're going to see Brett Hundley, who supplants Aaron Rodgers. It is a very short kick, fielded on the run by Jeff Janis at the 15-yard line. And he'll bring it back out to the 31 as we take a look at the Packer offense.
Brett Hundley, UCLA.
Jamal Williams, BYU. Aaron Ripkowski, Oklahoma.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Randall Cobb, Kentucky. Lance Kendricks, Wisconsin.
David Bakhtiari, University of Colorado, Boulder.
Layton Taylor, Oklahoma State.
Corey Lindsley, The Ohio State University.
Justin McCray, University of Central Florida.
Jason Spriggs, Indiana University.
Bakhtiari not going to the Pro Bowl. None of the Packers are, but a guy who could go any year, including this. From the 30-yard line, they start out of the shotgun with 5 receivers, and Hundley fires to the outside, and that's caught by Randall Cobb for a 7-yard gain. Stopped there by Eric Kendricks. So Hundley spent 2 seasons on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, Jason Spriggs is the injured Packer as he is down at the 25-yard line. Hundley's numbers right there: 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So Spriggs, the right tackle, needs the attention here. Of course, earlier this year they lost Brian Bulaga. They're also minus the guard Jari Evans tonight.
There's Spriggs on the outside, and the one place that this team cannot afford any more injuries is to one of the tackle positions. They've had 5 guys play tackle so far this season, and it has just been a revolving door out there.
So an early injury timeout. One play from scrimmage and one ride on a cart back to the locker room is Jason Spriggs, 2nd-round pick last year out of Indiana, and manning that right tackle spot along the decimated offensive line as he goes back. So McRae, who started at guard, is going to go to tackle. He's played 4 positions on the line this year, all but center. And Lucas Patrick, who has a big black club on his right hand, will come in and play right guard.
Kind of tough to just clap your hands when you've got that thing on there.
So the play gains 7 at 2nd down and 3 again. They go 4 wide here. Jamal Williams flanking Hundley in the backfield. And they give it to him. And he picks up a 1st down as he takes it up to the 44-yard line. Daniil Hunter makes the stop, 1st down. Take a look at the Viking D.
Daniil Hunter, LSU. Tom Johnson, Southern Mississippi.
Linval Joseph, East Carolina.
Everson Griffin, USC. Anthony Barr, University of California, Los Angeles.
Eric Kendricks, UCLA Bruins.
Ben Gideon, Michigan.
Trey Waynes, Michigan State. Andrew Sendejo, Rice University.
Harrison Smith, Notre Dame.
Xavier Rhodes, FSU.
And on 1st down, a handoff here goes to Jamal Williams. You saw Kendricks and Barr announcing UCLA as their school, which meant they were teammates with Hundley in Westwood.
Well, now here is officially the oldest player in the National Football League. There, Terrence Newman coming off the edge just ahead of Jordy Nelson. James Harrison released today by the Pittsburgh Steelers, so he moves up the ranks.
Oldest defensive player in the NFL at the age of 39. 2nd down and 9 now from the 43-yard line. And again, it's Williams. Short gain, rookie out of BYU, 4th-round pick this year. They have 3 rookie running backs, all picked in the draft.
Well, one of the star players on the defensive side is this big guy right in the middle, Linval Joseph. Since he has come to the Minnesota Vikings from the Giants, he has just dominated inside, and you can create all kinds of opportunities for your linebackers and your pass rushers if you can have that kind of play inside, and Joseph has done it year after year for these Vikings.
Got a 5-receiver set. Now he motions Williams into the backfield on 3rd down and 6. 5-man rush. Hundley throws and adjusting, but unable to come up with it is Michael Clark, tight end. Covered by Trey Waynes, and Green Bay will punt.
Yeah, maybe the best story on this defense is Trey Waynes for the Minnesota Vikings, because they have a superstar on the other side in Xavier Rhodes, who typically gets the best of the other team's receivers, and yet it has been the improvement of Trey Waynes that has given this overall defense a lift.
Justin Vogel, rookie punter, having a very good year. 42 and change is his net, but not a very good punt here as it skids out of bounds up near the 29-yard line. So the Vikings take over with Case Keenum at the helm when we come back.
Don't stop.
The snow. They ask for volunteers. You get $10 an hour and some hot chocolate. And this was the scene yesterday morning, about 500 Packer fans showing up. They all pitch in.
Had to turn them away.
Yeah. This is Latavius Murray for a gain of 3 up to the 33-yard line. So one of the great stories in the league this season is Case Keenum. Case Keenum had a spectacular college career at the University of Houston. Played with the Texans, went to the Rams. He was the Rams starting quarterback last year. Then they let him go, signs with Minnesota as a backup, and then when Sam Bradford gets hurt and couldn't play in week 2, Keenum took over. And he's in the MVP conversation. 2nd down and 7 at the 33-yard line. Keenum tosses it over the middle. That'll be a 1st down. Stephon Diggs spinning all the way out to the 50-yard line. 1st down at midfield.
And this is what you get a lot out of Case Keenum. He's just going to figure out what's going to go on. You get a little crossing route, check it down, let his receivers run after the catch. But Al, the thing that's impressed me the most about Case Keenum is he looks like Houdini out there sometimes. I have seen him get out of more situations than just about any quarterback short of Russell Wilson this year. He can duck under, he scrambles, he's so good outside the pocket. Really made a huge difference.
Stacks a couple of receivers to the left and hands the ball off to Latavius Murray. Gain of 1. Let's take a look at the Viking offense.
Case Keenum, University of Houston 3rd Ward Cougars.
Latavius Murray, Central Florida.
C.J. Ham, Augustana University.
Adam Thielen, Minnesota State, Mankato.
Stephon Diggs, University of Maryland.
Kyle Rudolph, Notre Dame.
Riley Reef,
Iowa.
Nick Easton, Harvard University.
Pat Elflein, Ohio State.
Joe Berger, Michigan Tech University.
Mike Remmers, Oregon State.
That line was a huge problem last year. They cleaned it up, playing much, much better in 2017. 2nd down and 9. And they give it to McKinnon, and he'll take it to the 42-yard line. So they've got Murray and McKinnon both coming out of the backfield, equally effective, and it's 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, and you talked about this offensive line a little bit, and they started together, this group, the first 5 games of the season. This is the first time their original starting 5 has played together since then. So they're really hopeful now that this bunch gets a chance to grow together here last few weeks of the season and carries it right into the playoffs.
3rd and 2 on the Vikings' opening drive. Blitz. Keenum hangs in there and converts, and that is Jarius Wright picking up a 1st down. You know, Chris, you're talking about him being Houdini. One of the reasons he's only about 6 feet even, very short for a quarterback. He can get under you, duck under you.
Yep, you for sure going to see that quite a bit. And it has been all of these receivers really with their run after catch ability, but the 2 stars on the outside have been Adam Thielen, who is going to the Pro Bowl, and Stephon Diggs, who makes some incredible catches over the top of people.
And you saw Aaron Rodgers under the hood on the sideline as they give it to Murray to the 32-yard line. Here are the Green Bay defensive starters.
Dean Lowry,
Northwestern.
Kenny Clark, UCLA. Mike Daniels, Iowa. Ahmad Brooks, Virginia.
Jake Ryan, Michigan.
Blake Martinez, Stanford.
Tyler Fackrell, Utah State University.
Devon House, New Mexico State. Morgan Burnett, Georgia Tech.
Haha Clinton Dix, Alabama.
Josh Hawkins, East Carolina.
Injury-ravaged secondary. Had a lot of issues back there. 2nd down and 8. Take the reverse, and then that's covered well as you try to get it to McKinnon, and Dean Lowry wasn't fooled at all. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
Yeah, Dean Lowry is one of the guys that maybe you don't know that much about. They have really good defensive linemen here, Mike Daniels and Kenny Clark, but this Dean Lowry is very much on the list. And if you had to say this season, what has been the strength of the Green Bay Packers defense? No question, it's been the defensive line.
3rd down and 8 from the 32-yard line. Empty the backfield. McKinnon in the game. 5 receivers set. And on 3rd and 8, Keenum to the outside, and it's flicked away. Intended for Thielen, but batted away by Devon House, and it's 4th down.
Well, no mystery that they're going to go to Thielen on 3rd down. This is a guy that's tied for the most targets of anybody in the National Football League on 3rd down, and they love those corner routes. They have been about as successful as anybody in football throwing it out there. The Green Bay Packers are ready for it.
So Kai Forbath, another guy in the game from UCLA, will attempt a 49-yard field goal. Temperature is 10. The wind with the kicker at only 3 miles an hour. So very little factor there as Forbath tries to give Minnesota the lead, and he does. 8.5 to go in the quarter at Lambeau. Minnesota leading 3-0. Move the game for your convenience because folks want to be home Christmas Eve.
There you go.
And an early Merry Christmas to everybody. Another short kick here as Trevor Davis will run this one back to about the 28-yard line where he's tackled by Stephen Weatherly. And we'll take a look at that Packer offensive line. 10 different starting combinations. Most in the league. Only Indianapolis has had more combos. And the only Packer offensive lineman to start every game was Corey Linsley. They've allowed a sack on a little less than once every 12 passing plays, 2nd most frequent in the NFL.
And we talked about the Vikings, but this offensive line, as it was intended, only 2 games this year.
From the 28-yard line, Vikings showed blitz and back off. Huntley keeps it and gets taken down by Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith probably, in terms of not making the Pro Bowl, maybe the most grievous mistake or error or whatever you want to call it.
There you go. Watch what Harrison Smith can do. Now, obviously, he got a little slick spot on the field, but that was a good shot against a tight end, and everybody fell down. But, Al, I'm with you. If I had to pick one guy who did not make the Pro Bowl this year, at the top of the list would be that guy right there. Harrison Smith's had a great year.
Steady, consistent throughout his career. 2nd down and 12. Off the fake. Tom makes the catch, and there you go. Mr. Smith, and we go to Michelle.
Well, I asked Harrison Smith how he felt about his Pro Bowl snub. He said it was no big deal, telling me, I feel like I've gotten there sometimes when I didn't deserve it. I can only control what I can control. Whenever I write down my team and individual goals, they're always lofty, always pushing the envelope, but they never include getting to a Pro Bowl, Al.
He has other ideas. He'd rather not play in the Pro Bowl anyway, because if they make it to the Super Bowl, none of the Vikings who got in will play in the Pro Bowl. It's the week before.
Let somebody else go to Disney World.
Exactly. 3rd down and 12 from the 25-yard line. And it's an inside draw, and Williams will take it only up to the 31-yard line, and that will bring in the punt group for the 2nd time. Sendejo makes the stop.
Yeah, you go backwards on the first 2. You really don't want to put your young quarterback in too tough a situation. But don't be stunned with what this Vikings defense is doing out here. They've been doing that to people all season long. And that time it was the other safety, Andrew Sendejo, came up and made that tackle.
Over the kick. One of the top run back men for years. Sherrills backs up. Marcus Sherrills collects at the 18. And about a 9-yard run back out to the 27-yard line. 6:20 left in the opening frame at Lambeau. 3-0 Minnesota. Quite the trip for Case Keenum. He was a high school star in Abilene, Texas. And then he matriculated at the University of Houston, where he set NCAA marks for most yards and most touchdowns, 155. He won 9 games in 24 starts for the Texans and the Rams over a 4-year period. And already this year he's won 9 games when he supplanted Sam Bradford in the second week of the season. He starts here from the 28-yard line, off the fake, out of the pocket, and he just throws it away. And Chris, we were talking to him last night, and he said, look, I had a terrible combine day. It was a terrible pro day. He's a little shorter than most quarterbacks. I mean, Drew Brees is the same height. I think he's done fairly well. But what a story. Starts with the Texans, goes to the Rams, goes back to the Texans, goes back to the Rams, and now look at this.
He must have had a really bad combine, because what we've seen out of him this year is that he's made plays all season long. If he had one issue, he has missed some throws down the field. Not the throws themselves, but just seeing open receivers down the field.
2nd and 10, doesn't miss this one. For an 8-yard gain, Stephon Diggs. He's out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Josh Jones makes the stop. 3rd and 2.
Pat Shurmur, his offensive coordinator, says this guy has this one small moment in time, and he's doing everything to make the most of it. And he plays like that. He never runs out of bounds. He doesn't slide when he runs. He's playing like this is his last football game, and he's been doing it all season long.
Pat Shurmur, for 2 years, he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns a few years ago. Longtime assistant, and some people are beginning to think maybe he's going to be looked at for some head coaching vacancies at the end of the season. 3rd and 2. And Keenum gets enveloped and sacked. Reggie Gilbert and Kenny Clark come in to sack him, and it's 4th down.
No question about it. They're looking to their 3rd down magic there. They're stealing on the outside, but nicely played by Blake Martinez, who is one guy that's had a fantastic year for the Green Bay Packers. No escaping there. You could see the Green Bay Packers don't overrun this guy. Just squeeze him in the pocket.
Ryan Quigley is the punter. Trevor Davis back to receiver. Look out, almost blocked. Good kick, fielded at the 24. Davis trying to get around the corner.
That part of the field.
Down. Yeah, you can see that, absolutely. Lost his footing. Down he goes with 4:41 to go in the quarter. 3-0. Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, the 2 linebackers. On one side, Brett Hundley on the other. He was the quarterback of the Bruins under Jim Mora, and wound up as the 5th-round pick of the Packers in 2015. From the 28-yard line, Hundley from the pocket, throws short and incomplete, intended for Jordy Nelson, a guy he's had a hard time connecting with since he took over. There they were at UCLA. Barr was there for 4 years, Kendricks for 4 as well. Hundley for 3 seasons in Boonville.
Yeah, and they used to talk a little trash in practice too. Brett Hundley said Eric Kendricks, and he went at it pretty good at those UCLA practices. And the minute he came in the game, the first matchup between these two, it started again.
2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line. Give it to Aaron Jones, rookie running back. Well, public enemy number 1, at least for this weekend, would be Barr, because he's the guy that took Aaron Rodgers to the ground in week 6. And there is Rodgers on the sideline. Broke his collarbone. Of course, Aaron was able to come back last week against Carolina, but wasn't the Aaron that we knew. 3 underthrown interceptions, and then they decided to shut him down and put him on injured reserve for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and there was some debate as to who started the trash talk, and Aaron was none too happy. Started firing a few barbs over there to Anthony Barr, and Barr fired back. So it got a little uglier as it went along.
Let's go to Michelle.
Well, Barr isn't surprised by the acrimony he's faced after the hit that injured Rodgers. He told me yesterday, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. People worship this guy, so if you're the cause of his injury, you're going to get some backlash. He also said he wasn't worried about what he might hear here tonight because he's heard just about everything. But Al Barr said all of this has only served as extra motivation these past 10 weeks.
Michelle, we're going to go back and take a look at exactly what happened. This was at U.S. Bank Stadium in the middle of October. Rodgers rolling out, looking downfield. Then Barr takes him down. You can tell by Aaron's reaction, and the replay makes it pretty evident what happened. And the next thing you know, he's in surgery.
Al, I have to tell you, and I know a lot of people in Green Bay disagree, but I didn't see anything with that hit that made me question it at all.
I didn't think it was illegal as Jordy Nelson makes the catch here, but he needed 5 and got 2, and it's 4th down.
This part of the field is really bad. I mean, we have seen everybody slip down here on this side of the field. So basically, if you're a receiver, you should take that into account because you can run guys into bad parts of the field, have them fall down, and come up with a big play.
Vogel to punt for the 3rd time in the first 12 minutes of the game. Marcus Sherrills sets up at his own 20-yard line, and it's a high and short kick. Sherrills will let it bounce, and it skids out of bounds at the 30-yard line. 3:05 left in the quarter. More football here on NBC. Christmas Day down in Houston, where it'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Houston Texans. Steelers right now, still have a chance to be the #1 seed. At worst, they hope they're #2 to get a bye, and they could drop to #3. So big game for the Steelers.
Boy, I tell you, that was some matchup with New England, wasn't it? That final play down on the goal line, Jesse James, all the discussion now about going to the ground to complete the catch is crazy.
Here's Murray, the former Oakland Raider, out to the 40-yard line. We talked at the top about the fact they lost their opening day starting running back, and that was the great-looking rookie Dalvin Cook, who was off to a tremendous start. And Murray was on the mend, but when Cook got hurt, Murray had to be the horse.
Yeah, getting a little help right out here from the center guard combination. Elflein, the rookie, Berger, the extreme veteran. And we have another player down now.
Nick Easton, the left guard. 3rd-year man out of Harvard. So that offensive line, which has stayed pretty healthy this year and has done a nice job collectively. Who was it? Somebody said the other day, they're like 5 pennies, but they make a nice nickel.
Yeah, it has been a heck of a nickel.
Jeremiah Searles would be his backup.
Berger's right there. Oh, right there is Easton. I'm sorry. Just kind of got rolled up on, and oh, there he is. You can see a little bit of the whip around now.
By Quentin Dial.
Oh, boy. He is the guy that they love to pull and run in front. And, boy, I tell you, it has been tough for these offensive linemen. They have been in and out for both of these teams. And, well, you think they finally got them all back together. Maybe they make a run and don't even make it through the first quarter.
Well, Mike Zimmer has done a masterful job with his team, 4th year. Of course, Mike suffered a detached retina last year in a game in Chicago and has undergone 8 eye procedures since then. The reason he's wearing the sunglasses at night here at Lambeau Field. So Easton to the bench. Searles comes in at left guard. Then it's 2nd down and 2 from the 20-yard line. Murray again. And that will move the sticks as he takes it out to the 44-yard line.
Yeah, and probably one of the biggest differences as you watch this team early on has been the health of Latavius Murray. He came back from an ankle surgery and early on was just okay, but much sharper here in the last month.
Go without a huddle. Give it to Murray again. Swings to the outside. Into Packer territory and a first down before Clinton Dix forces him out after he gains 12. And there goes Easton back to the locker room.
One of the other factors is the center, Pat Elflein, who is a very mobile center, getting down to that second level and being able to make those reach blocks.
Again, no huddle. Off play action. Keenum's going to go deep downfield. He has Diggs there, and the pass is underthrown and incomplete, but a flag comes in. Josh Hawkins, playing in place of Demarius Randall tonight, gets flagged, and we're going to get our first penalty of the game. Carl Cheffers is the referee.
All Hawkins had to do is turn around and look for the ball.
Interference, number 28, defense, automatic, first down.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with the play. If he's turned around and looking for it, the official said he never really did, made the contact first. I tell you, you have to play Diggs like that because Diggs is the best receiver in football this season and going up and making those contested catches.
39-yard penalty. First and goal. To the 3-yard line goes Latavius Murray. It'll be second down and goal with a minute and a half to go in the opening quarter.
And you know, Alfred, you hit on it a little bit earlier, but this secondary has been absolutely a mess this year for the Green Bay Packers. And for Dom Capers, he's a guy that likes to do some pretty elaborate stuff on the back end, blitzes and different stunts and different things. And he just doesn't have the experience. We saw them make big mistakes a week ago. Josh Jones, a rookie, blew a couple of coverages, and in a very big game, they just couldn't match up.
Second and goal. Off play action. Keenan to the back of the end zone. Diggs comes down with it. Touchdown. Controlled it, both feet in, beats Hawkins, and they go 68 yards in 5 plays.
Let's take a look. There's a catch. One.
But does he have control when that first foot comes down?
That's the question.
Of course, everything gets checked out, all scoring plays. So when the left foot is down, does he have control at that point?
Right there.
Yep,
there you go.
And it's been confirmed. So touchdown Minnesota, and Kai Forbath to attempt to tack on the extra point. Quigley to hold it. And Forbath, who's missed 5 extra points this season, bangs that one through to make it 10-0. Well, very sad to have to report, as many of you know, the passing of really one of the special guys in the history of this business. Dick Enberg passed away at the age of 82. He announced almost everything over a career that started in the 60s. He did the Super Bowl, the World Series, Wimbledon, the Final Four, you name it. He had an elegance, and he was accessible as anybody in the profession. 25 of those years were spent at NBC. He summed up so many special moments with 2 very simple but very profound words. Oh my. And oh my, we'll miss Dick Enberg. A wonderful, you know, when I was starting my career, he was about 10 or 12 years into his. He was always available. Call him, write him, whatever, come visit him. He had time for everybody.
Yeah, and he would never talk about himself. No matter who you were, he would basically do a little interview of you and made you feel like you're like the most important guy in the world. He was there when I first started at NBC. I didn't even know which end of the telestrator to draw on, so he is something special, that guy.
Started as a teacher. Taught a lot of us a lot about sports, and what could he write as well. So to Barbara and the Enberg family, our thoughts and our prayers. Final minute of the first quarter. And the Green Bay Packers trailing 10-0.
You know, you talked about that cold game, that freezer bowl that I played in. All week long in practice, you could practice the stuff. Catch the ball, run the routes, block, do all that stuff. What you weren't prepared for was getting hit. Getting hit was like unlike anything that I had experienced to that date in football. And I'm sure for all these guys, it's a little adjustment out here tonight.
Running back is Aaron Jones. Gains 2. He's a rookie out of Texas El Paso. Picked in the 5th round.
And we've seen a lot of slipping so far with this field, and they've been trying to warm it up. They've got the heater underneath it, but we have on more than one occasion guys just falling down. And so I think that what you have to be willing to do in this game, especially on this part of the field, maybe a double move, take a shot, something down the field, and hope you get that big mistake out of this very good Vikings defense.
2nd and 8. Going to draw. Nice gain here for Aaron Jones up to the 30-yard line. And that should take us to the end of the quarter. It'll be 3rd down and 2 when the second period commences. End of 1, Minnesota 10, Green Bay nothing. And the special edition of Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Geico. There's a sliding hill over there. They call it Titletown. Brand new hotel as well across the street from Lambeau Field in historic Green Bay. 3rd and 2 as the second quarter begins with a first down on a reception by Randall Cobb.
Just an old-fashioned pick play right there. Going to come right down with Allison's going to set the pick, and no call. Could have easily been called, was not. And now the Packers get going a little quicker.
That's Green Bay's second first down. The first came on their opening drive from the 40-yard line.
Green 18, Green 10.
Williams, nothing. Wrestled back, line of scrimmage. Eric Kendricks, 2nd down. Hundley on the road this season in relief of Rodgers, 220 yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a very good rating. You put him here, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet.
Yeah, we saw him against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played great. He just really had a great night, but it is just not translated here. And we heard a few of the boo birds come out at the end of the first quarter.
So 2nd down and 10 from the 40-yard line. Going 5 wide. 4-man rush to the outside goes the pass, and it's about a 5-yard gain before Cobb gets manhandled by Terrence Newman. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
And probably the biggest improvement so far this year for Hundley has been his ability to quickly get the ball out of his hands. He is starting to do a little Aaron Rodgers, catch it and let's get that thing out. Now, especially when you go 5 wide, there's nobody back there to help you protect. But now he has number 30 in the backfield, Jamal Williams, who's probably their best pass protecting running back. So maybe hold it just a bit here, try and work it down the field.
That's Cobb going in motion. Swings it out to Cobb. Oh, and he gets buried at the 38-yard line. Mackenzie Alexander read that one perfectly for a loss. Loss of 7.
How about that? Mackenzie Alexander, who's probably your 4th cornerback on the outside here. He's going to come. You're going to see Cobb circle back and go back out, and Alexander just all over that thing. Feels like the Minnesota Vikings defense has been playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage so far in this one.
Packers limited to 45 yards on 17 plays. Vogel's kick, fair catch called for, made it to 21 by Marcus Sherrills. Early second quarter, 10-0 Vikings.
As a kid from Minnesota, I grew up a Vikings fan, and it was definitely a dream to play in the NFL and play for the hometown team. Being undrafted, the biggest challenge for me was getting opportunities. My personal keys to success, I guess, are just taking it one day at a time and just being myself. The message I have for kids that dream to play in the NFL would be keep getting better, just give it everything you got.
Another great story this year, Adam Thielen has really come on. 5th year with, or actually the 4th year with the team. Didn't do much the first 2, but he's been brilliant over the last 2. And he was named to the Pro Bowl earlier this week. Still looking for his first catch tonight, though, as Jerick McKinnon gets taken down at the line of scrimmage. But a guy, he's undrafted. He grows up, Chris, in rural Minnesota near the North Dakota border. winds up going to a camp that the Vikings have for, young guys looking for an opportunity. And he went to Mankato State where the Vikings were training at that point. So he was right at home, got an opportunity, caught the eye of Rick Spielman and company as McKinnon takes it up to the 25-yard line, and here he is.
Yeah, and he said, I really wasn't that nervous back then, but looking back on it, it makes me nervous just to think about it. I'm sure if I had dropped one pass in that camp, there's Rick Spielman, if I had dropped one pass, I'd be out selling dental equipment right now. But he said at the time it was like an opportunity. I was playing on a field I was familiar with, and here he is now going to the Pro Bowl this season, and moving into the slot where he is right now has been a great move for both him and Stephon Diggs.
Set 3 receivers off to the left side. Keenum looking over the middle and almost has that one picked off, intended for Stephon Diggs, and it's Clinton Dix breaking it up, and it's 4th down. Dean Lowry put the pressure on Keenum.
Clinton Dix right there, and he's going to let the first receiver go by, Thielen, and just jumps Diggs. And that was close. That's the kind of play I think the Green Bay Packers are going to have to come up with tonight if they're going to get it going. But just like the Packers, the Vikings struggled right there in that spot of the field where nobody seems to be able to get their footing.
Brian Quigley for his second punt of the game. Short kick. Bounces at the 41 and dies at the 38. Last Packer quarterbacks other than Favre and Rodgers to start 5 or more games in a season. You've got Hundley, go back to the Magic Man, Don Majkowski in 91. Mike Tomczak, longtime Bear, played here for a while. 7 starts back in 91. Of course, with Favre and Rodgers, well, you know the rest. There's Brett, the number up on the Ring of Honor, and number 12 will be up there someday at some point.
That was interesting hearing Brett Hundley talk about, he said, everybody kept telling me at some point Aaron is going to get hurt and you're going to be in. He said when it happened against the Minnesota Vikings, my heart started pounding a mile a minute. Then he's out there playing against his old buddies, played with him at UCLA.
Short gain here as the fullback Aaron Ripkowski taken down by Kendricks at 2nd down and 6. Got that gum going, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. When he first got here, you just assumed he'd have a mouthpiece and wear it. And I think Aaron said, "Hey, quarterbacks in Green Bay, we don't wear mouthpieces." And it started with Brett, and then it went to Aaron, and so he said, "Okay." So he said, I'm used to having something there in my mouth. So he started chewing gum. I asked him which kind. He said, "Whatever was for free in the locker room."
Probably get a commercial out of it someday. 2nd and 6. Off the fake, dropped. Jordy Nelson. Well, we're talking about the fact that Hundley's really been clicking with Davante Adams, who's out tonight because of a concussion. But the one guy he hasn't been able to click with is Jordy.
It has just been unbelievable. Jordy Nelson, just remarkable, right? He had 5 games with Aaron Rodgers, 6 touchdowns. He's off to another one. He had 14 touchdowns the year before. Since Hundley has come in, it has just fallen right through the tank. It's amazing what has happened. And really, it's been Davante Adams who's been the #1 receiver now for Brett Hundley.
That was a flat-out drop right there. And they get a timeout taken here by
charge, timeout,
the Minnesota defense.
A 30-second timeout.
It'll be 3rd down and 6 when play resumes.
It's going to be an interesting offseason for this football team. It really is, because Davante Adams is a guy that is a free agent and is going to have to get paid. And he has become the lead receiver on this football team. And then you have Jordy Nelson and you have Randall Cobb, both making around $10 million. You can't have 3 $10 million receivers, I don't think. There's Ted Thompson. He's going to have to figure out exactly what he's going to do. But, there are going to be a lot of tough decisions on this team. The question becomes, is there anything wrong with Green Bay, or is it just Aaron Rodgers got hurt? They're 4-1 when he got hurt. They were probably going to get to 12, 13, 14 wins on the year. be a Super Bowl favorite. Do you really want to mix it up too much? You know, and basically the storyline is Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
You're right. Very interesting offseason coming up in Dairyland. 3rd down and 6. Hunley throws, and that's caught, but short of the first down. Lance Kendricks, tight end. So it's 4th down and 2. Everything short, and Donnell Hunter is there, and they'll be forced to punt again. This is already the 5th punt for Vogel tonight.
Boy, Mike Zimmer, George Edwards, they are so good at disguising those blitzes. You get a balanced look. You're not sure they're going to blitz from the right, from the left, and that time Hunley got pressured out of the pocket and really nowhere to go.
Vogel averaging 37 yards per boot on his 4 thus far. Fielded at the 12, fair caught there by Sherrills. 9.5 to go in the half. 10-0 Vikings. A little snow here in Green Bay tonight. Clear skies. The temperature right now is 7. Keenum starts this drive, throwing to the outside, and it is Diggs with a flag down. Diggs starts to take off again, but he was down there at flag down at the 31-yard line. Again, he's working on Josh Hawkins, who he burned for the touchdown. 20-yard pickup.
Pass interference. Number 28, defense. The pass was caught. The penalty will be declined. 1st down.
Well, that's the matchup they want.
Stephon Diggs been doing this all season long. Contested catches. You can see Hawkins didn't even know where it was at the end. But look at some of these numbers here on these contested catches. Stephon Diggs, number 1 in the NFL, 59% of the time that he goes up for a contested catch. That's the best. Adam Thielen right behind at number 5. So you talk about the success of Case Keenum has a lot to do with the way those guys fight for the football.
Now they give it to Diggs on a running play on the end around. Keenum has completed 5 passes tonight, 4 of them to Diggs. Still looking for his first to Thielen or to Kyle Rudolph, the great tight end.
Yeah, and we talk about all those contested catches, but Mike Zimmer knows that for a lot of those this season, it has been the play of this offensive line that has at least given them a chance. Zimmer spent a lot of time in that offensive line room this year just letting them know, hey, you're my guys. You know, they got beat up pretty good a season ago, and so he's been spending his time with them.
2nd and 7, the pass on the outside, trying to get away is Michael Floyd. He can't. Josh Jones with the tackle. We go to Michelle.
Well, Chris, you were mentioning the offensive line. It took a hit with Nick Easton. He is now out with an ankle injury. We saw him get carted off. He went in and out of the x-ray room. As for the Packers, tight end Richard Rodgers, questionable with a shoulder. Running back Aaron Jones, questionable with a knee. Jason Spriggs is out. He was injured early in this game, and it feels a bit like a war of attrition down here, guys.
It does, Michelle. And we started the game by telling you about the 5 key guys who were already out for Green Bay. 3rd and 7. Allen throws, look out, catch is made by McKinnon, who gets caught in a vice, but picks up a 1st down up at the 43-yard line.
Whoa, this was a dangerous one. Watch Clinton Dix here. He's going to start back and then slam up here when he sees this receiver coming in right here. And I saw him sprinting over, and I saw the slant. I was like, oh, man, look out. Pretty nice job there by McKinnon just to hang on to that one.
Murray is the running back here. He's carried 7 times for 32 yards to this point. His 8th carry. Then about 3 yards up to the 46-yard line.
It was kind of fun, wasn't it, getting a chance to talk to Mike Daniels the other day. He was telling us he throws all of his uniform equipment all into the sauna before the game, so he feels good going out there. But he said they just scoff at offensive linemen if they come out in sleeves. He said, I just want to punch them right in the mouth if they come out in a game like this in sleeves. I think so far the Vikings pretty well represented with their bare arms.
Whistle before the snap here.
Defense, 12 players on the field in formation. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So that makes it 2nd down and 2.
And those hurt. You know, I mean, you're struggling anyway. You got everybody hurt, and you make a substitution, and there's so many guys that aren't used to being on the field that those substitutions just don't happen naturally, and that's a big mistake.
Murray. And he cannot get out of the backfield as Dean Lowry is there to make the tackle. It'll make it 3rd down and 1. Mike Zimmer, 20 years an assistant coach, finally got the big opportunity. The first thing he had to do going to Minnesota was to clean up that defense, which was terrible when he got there after the 2013 season, and he has done a fantastic job. 3rd and 1. Keenum rolling out. He's going to keep it, but he's going to lose yardage back at the 47-yard line. Kyler Fackrell, the outside linebacker, gets there, so it's 4th down.
Boy, that was some play by Kyler Fackrell there. This guy taking over for Clay Matthews. He's going to take on the tight end, Rudolph first, bounce out, and then here comes the offensive lineman out in front. He had to battle him as well. Good enough, though. Outstanding play.
Ryan Quigley is at the punt. His 3rd and the 8th total punt in the game. Fair catch called for and made by Trevor Davis up at about the 23-yard line. Green Bay has the ball again, but Minnesota has the lead. 10-0. The temperature is 7 from the 23-yard line. Only to the outside. That's caught by Jordy Nelson for a small gain. Xavier Rhodes, who will be going to the Pro Bowl, makes the stop.
Yeah, how about, speaking of Pro Bowlers, how about these guys on the outside? One of the best matchups we'll probably see all season. David Bakhtiari, the left tackle, an outstanding pass blocker, arguably the best blocking tackle in football, going up against Everson Griffin, who has a career-high 13 sacks this year.
Green 18! Green 10!
2nd and 6. Hundley slipping out of the pocket, running for the 1st down. And plenty more. And out of bounds at the Minnesota 49-yard line. Fired up on the sideline. 24-yard gain.
Well, here's the greatness of Bakhtiari right here, because anytime your quarterback's in a scramble situation and you're one-on-one against one of the best pass rushers in all of football, that was a long time. But Hundley took full advantage of it. And this is really what Hundley is probably going to have to do here tonight. He's going to have to create some offense on his own to jumpstart this offense, because it's been going nowhere fast.
His season-long run, 24 yards. He's averaging over 7 yards per tote. Now you've got a 9-yard run here by Jamal Williams to follow that up to set up a 2nd down and 1 as Green Bay tries to get it going.
And they go right to the line of scrimmage, trying to take advantage, and they got away with one there.
They did. And then at the 15-yard line, Jordy Nelson is able to haul it in. So the Packers were dormant. Now all of a sudden, 3 big plays in a row, and they're deep in Viking territory.
They hang on to it all the way.
Defense, 12 players. The player trying to get off the field did not make it before the snap. That penalty's declined. 1st down.
Well, nice you want to challenge this one. Looks like the ball comes out, and we are going to get a challenge. Was a 25-yard gain.
There was a
Minnesota
lot going on.
is challenging the ruling on the field of a completed pass. We'll review the play.
All right. Jeffers goes to the tablet, and we're back in 30 seconds. Rhodes
did a great job getting his hand in there and stripping that thing out. There it goes. You can see it just kind of squirt out there that way. But I thought the Packers never got set on the play, and that shouldn't have mattered anyway. They didn't see that.
They didn't see that. They saw the 12 men on the field.
Watch the right side of the offense over here. They never got set on that side.
Right.
And that should have been a foul as well.
Well, they called a foul for 12 men on the field. Now they can take that. If they overturn this, they can take the penalty, so at least they'll get 5 yards.
But I don't think it was called.
The 12 men on the field.
Right. But I'm saying on the offensive side, that one wasn't called.
Right.
After review, the ball was out of the control of the receiver when it hit the ground. It is an incomplete pass. Please set the game clock to 3:29. 5-yard defense, 12 players will be administered, and that yardage results in a first down.
You know, it was 3rd and 1, so that 5-yard penalty gave them the first down.
Jordy Nelson, I don't know if something's hurting on him or what. He's sort of, I don't know, he has an uncomfortable look on his face.
So it's a first down at the 35-yard line. Green Bay with only 4 first downs to this point in the half. 3.5 minutes to go to the break. Minnesota on top, 10-0.
Where that Xavier Rhodes just keeps making plays too, doesn't he? He plays the best of the best. Whoever your best player is, that is where he's going to be, and he's been doing it all season long.
Green 18! Green 10!
From the pocket. That's caught in the 30-yard line. And fighting for extra yardage, Lance Kendricks. Stop him at about the 27. 2nd and 2.
The play by Kendricks, who came over from the Rams, had 50 catches there and really hasn't produced like that here. Sendejo's going to come in and finish that one off.
Under 3 remaining in the half on 2nd and 2. Fire to the outside, caught. Jordy Nelson. And that's a first down, and he is hurting. There's no question about that. But he comes back into the huddle.
Yeah, but you can see him look over his shoulder. He's definitely, there's something going on.
And Cobb is saying, hey, we got to get a guy in for him, but they don't. At least for the moment. On a first down from the 22-yard line. On the ground. Williams.
You could see Jordy when he was going across the formation, basically not moving that left arm. He was just sort of not running in a natural way.
He's coming out right now. Davis will go in for him, and we go to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to the half. Minnesota 10, Green Bay nothing.
12 o'clock, rock, we're going.
Up next, Toyota halftime. Crucial Falcons-Saints showdown coming up tomorrow in New Orleans. Best TV celebrations of the year coming up on the Toyota halftime. Meanwhile, 10-0 is the score. 2nd down and 6. So the sign of Anthony Barr getting called for Christmas. Of course, he's the guy who knocked Aaron Rodgers out for 2 months. 2nd down and 6. Hundley slipping away, gets taken down at the 15-yard line. Where it'll be 3rd down and 3. Everson Griffin makes the tackle. Mike McCarthy calling in the plays.
You know, we've seen Brett Hundley here really try and take over just a bit. And there's Jordy Nelson on the sideline, still with that pained look on his face. Looked like he landed on his left side. We won't speculate as to what that might be, but on that pass that got stripped out by Xavier Rhodes, and he has not been back in since.
Vikings terrific on 3rd down, stopping the opposition. Only 8 first downs allowed in the last 44 attempts. And that play clock is all the way down. They just do get it off, and the pass is intercepted by Smith at the 5-yard line. Picking up some blocking as well. And brings it back out to the 23-yard line. He had a great one-handed interception the last time these teams met in week 6 and pulls one off here. to stymie the drive.
They're going to get just man coverage here on this route, and he's going to undercut it. And that's what makes him the best safety in football right now. He is tremendous as a pass defender against those tight ends and people coming down the middle, and maybe even better as a run defender up around the line of scrimmage. Disguises coverage, a very, very complete safety who's had an unbelievable year. Didn't make the Pro Bowl, may end up being one of the top candidates for Defensive Player of the Year.
So Green Bay still not off the schneid tonight. 61 seconds. Minnesota with 2 timeouts from the 22. Keenum fires to the outside. That's caught. That's the first catch of the night for Rudolph. This special edition of Sunday Night Football on Saturday night brought to you by Walmart. Rock the Christmas with Walmart. By Bud Light, brewed to be enjoyed responsibly. By BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. And by AT&T. Across the street from Lambeau, Arians Hill opened for tubing the other day.
We are so doing that next time.
After
2 of us, drag racing.
2nd and 4. Over the middle, and Thielen makes the grab, but he is stopped a little bit short of the first down. Keenum wants to hold on to the timeouts. You got a 3rd and 1. Clock down to 34, 33. And a floater to the outside floats over the head of Laquan Treadwell, the #1 pick in last year's draft.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of trouble getting Laquan Treadwell going, and it mostly has to do with the fact that those other guys are playing so well that even in practice they can't get the quarterbacks to not throw at the Diggs or Thielen.
There was a question about what down it was.
We did not move the chains on the field. We determined that the previous play was short. It was 3rd down. The next play is 4th. The pass was incomplete. It is 4th down now.
Right. I was wondering what they were doing, because the down marker said 3rd down, then all of a sudden it said 1st down, and they may have had some conflict on the 2 sides. One might have had one might have had the other. Here it is again. He stopped short of the 1st down.
Clearly short.
That's pretty clear. Yep.
And I couldn't tell, but it was almost like Mike Zimmer was saying, your guy said that was a 1st down, and that's the reason we called that play.
Well, the down marker got set to 1st down, so that's why they called the next play. That's what Zimmer was upset about. In the meantime, right now, they're going to have to punt because it's 4th down. Every game has to have a little wackiness, right?
Usually from us.
Always from us. Here's Quigley's punt. Caught at the 22. Trevor Davis is out of bounds there with 16 seconds. Well, what do you mean next year, Chris? How about after the game tonight? What do you think?
I would
special.
stay. I would stay if you would get on an intertube and go down there.
Right.
I'm telling you right now, they can reserve a spot. If you're willing to do it, we'll leave the stadium and go right there.
Yeah, we'll make a stop for about an hour, and then you put a blindfold on me. That is the long snapper right there. It's Kevin McDermott. So he comes off. Just another of the UCLA guys tonight. Get word on him. Of course, teams don't have true backup long snappers, so somebody else is going to have to handle that duty if he can't come back in.
Most teams at least have somebody that has practiced that a bit, and they also have somebody who's the backup kicker. You just don't always know who that somebody is.
Jeff Heath had a couple of extra points for Dallas earlier in the season when Dan Bailey got hurt. Huntley, and that's incomplete. Intended for Geronimo Allison, and it's 2nd down.
You know, isn't it just amazing, though, that We've seen Hundley play well on the road, win games, clutch moments at the end of games, big moments, had good plays, and yet at Lambeau Field, it just hasn't worked.
So there is Nelson. Adams not playing tonight, inactive. No Don Hudson. Tough all the way around. Second down and 10. Spinning away. Hundley. The half will be over when that pass falls incomplete. And that's the way the teams will go to the locker rooms with the score 10-0 coming up next, the Toyota halftime after these messages from your local NBC station.
Thursday, January 4th. Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
Lambeau Field, Green Bay in December, so of course it's cold. The tundra isn't the only thing that's frozen. And Keenum gets enveloped and sacked.
No escaping there, just squeeze him in the pocket.
Keenum to the back of the end zone. Diggs comes down with it. Touchdown. The pass is intercepted by Smith at the 5-yard line.
And that's what makes him the best safety in football right now.
Chevy has earned J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Back to Lambeau Field. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Halftime score is 10-0. Coldest NFL game this season. 10 degrees at kickoff. It is 5 degrees at the moment. Keenum tonight, 75 yards, and the touchdown pass, which you just saw to Diggs. He has a touchdown catch in each of his last 3 games against the Packers. Does Stephon. Scoreless first halves at home. Hundley 2 in 5 starts, and Aaron Rodgers 2 in 70 starts.
5 degrees and going in the wrong direction.
Tell me about it.
You can tell the difference already.
I think it's going to stay above 0. You played in that game. I mentioned it at the top. In Cincinnati against San Diego, -9 degrees was the temperature. And then they said at that point, even though they've changed how they gauge wind chill now, but they said at one point, what, -57?
Well, 35-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
I mean, I woke up to my clock radio, and the guy said, it's going to be wind chill 59 below. Whatever you do, don't let your dog outside today. This dog ain't going anywhere. What am I doing?
The kid from Florida.
First year.
Right. At the goal line, Marcus Sherrills. Brings it back out to the 23, and we go to the field, and Michelle.
Well, Mike Zimmer told me at halftime that the field conditions have been a bit of an issue, that they're slippery, but what he wants to see out of his offense now is to impose their will and run the ball a little bit better. Mike McCarthy agreed that the field conditions are an issue, that it's slippery, and he said the Vikings are handling it better than we are. He said he wants to give his right tackle a little bit of help. He also said Jordy Nelson is out, but we do not know the nature of the injury at this point, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So Nelson out. They're minus Adams as well. Playing with a very short deck tonight. Minnesota starts with a 2-yard gain on the ground by Latavius Murray up to the 25-yard line. Where it'll be second down and 8.
You know, Al, one of the things that we really haven't talked about too much is this is an underrated offense. And one of the stats that I saw that really made me believe that and take notice, this team has scored touchdowns on 26% of their drives that start at or inside their 20-yard line. So only the Carolina Panthers have started at their 20 or longer to score touchdowns. That's not a fluky offense. That's an offense that knows how to get it done.
And an offense that's in the top 10 in all 4 of those categories we just showed you. Meanwhile, the pass is perfect to the sideline to Thielen. And Adam Thielen with a big gain and a first down for Minnesota. That's a gain of 21.
Start to get some of those combination routes going now up this boundary right here. Really no pass rush to speak of tonight from either team, just because the footing's a little bit bad. The quick twitch muscles really don't work so well, and some of those really athletic pass rushers look a little stuck tonight.
Vikings without a huddle from the 46-yard line. You got a flag here. Deep downfield, and it's Diggs who cannot hold on to it. at the 10-yard line. Penalty right at the snap. There's Carl
Offside,
Jefferson.
number 55, defense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
So that was a free play. Ahmad Brooks, the former 49er, was the guy who jumped.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was something to do with why Case Keenum threw the ball down the field like that. I would argue he needs more of those throws because he has, as we've talked about it earlier, the two of the top 5 receivers as far as contested catches go. Give those guys a chance, and we're not even talking about Kyle Rudolph, who's really good at playing above the rim too.
From the 49, Murray. I was thinking about, Keenum, we were telling you in the first half about where he's been. So when he goes to the Rams, and they're in St. Louis in 15, he's backing up Nick Foles. Think about this. Minnesota and Philadelphia could wind up 1-2. They could get the byes. They could meet in the NFC Championship game. You'd have Keenum against Foles. What the odds of that have been before the season?
It's crazy, but for, obviously Philadelphia paying attention, their magic number is 1. So if the Vikings were to lose, they'd have the number 1 seed.
Sure. Philadelphia controls its own fate in that regard as play is stopped at the 47-yard line. Minnesota can guarantee a bye with 2 wins, but their only path to the number 1 seed is to finish 2-0 and have the Eagles finish 0-2.
Well, Pat Shurmur perfectly happy to start grinding this thing out a little bit because he feels like his defense has it under control. That's one of the things the Vikings think is most important, that if they can get off to early leads, their defense has a way of taking over with the way they can rush the passer.
3rd and a deuce from the 47. Pressure put on, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Jarius Wright. Broken up by Jermaine Whitehead, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Jermaine Whitehead thought he had a chance to take that one the other direction. Pretty tight coverage on that one, and he just missed it. It's one of the bizarre parts, Al, of playing in cold weather like this. You're used to, as a professional athlete, your body moving at a certain speed. And you get out here in this, and it just doesn't go at that speed. The quickness and the twitch is just not there.
Meanwhile, David Morgan is the backup snapper now. You saw McDermott get hurt in the first half, so the backup snapper, and the kick is fielded at the 15-yard line. Fair caught there by Trevor Davis. So Green Bay has the ball for the first time in the half, trailing 10-7. The NFC playoff picture looks like this. If Philadelphia wins either of their 2 games, they have Oakland on Monday night, Dallas next week. They are the number 1 seed. Minnesota has already clinched. If Minnesota wins both of its games, they're the 2 seed. Then you've got the Rams and New Orleans 3 and 4 at the moment. Carolina and Atlanta would be the wild cards. But a lot can happen with that NFC South, because you've got the Atlanta-New Orleans game tomorrow, and you've got Carolina and Atlanta in Week 17. So a lot going on. But the one thing that Minnesota can do is guarantee a bye by winning 2 games, and they lead here 10-0 and at Chicago next week at home as Jamal Williams picks up a couple. 2nd down and 8.
Well, right now the Minnesota Vikings are just playing the run. Here's Harrison Smith. He's just going to come in off the edge. So on 1st down, Brett Hundley is going to have to start beating him through the air. They are just not going to let the running game of the Green Bay Packers get going. And so far tonight, Harrison Smith has been a monster.
2nd and 8. And nice run here for Williams. Ty Montgomery was their number 1 running back, but he's on injured reserve. Just another of the injured Packers. And so right now they're going with 3 rookies as running backs.
We've been talking about the substitution in there. Lucas Patrick right there going against Joseph, just sort of letting him run himself right out of the play and carrying through. And this Jamal Williams is a big guy, and he sort of fits the frozen tundra. He runs like he belongs on the frozen tundra.
Green 18,
from the 26-yard line. Knock him down at the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, for Hundley, who's thrown 8 touchdown passes on the road, none here. That's 138 passes without a touchdown pass at Lambeau Field. You go back to the Bears' Bob Avellini. Most passes at home without a TD in a season for the Bears back in 1978. Two guys who each wear number 7. For what that's worth.
Green 18! Green 18!
Two-shooter. 7 out. On 2nd and 9, here's Hundley to the outside. He goes, and his second real good run of the night. Stopped by Smith up at the 49-yard line. Off to the races goes the quarterback for a first down on a gain of 22.
Yeah, and you're going to see right on the outside, there's Bakhtiari one more time working against Everson Griffin, the best pass rusher the Vikings have, just staying with him. And then there goes Hundley on the other side, now playing the right tackle. Justin McCraig, good job. We haven't heard much at all out of Daniil Hunter, who he has 7 sacks. So this has been a night where the plays that have been made by the Packers have been made running by Brett Hundley.
49 passing yards, 47 rushing yards for the Green Bay QB. And now deep downfield he goes and cannot make the connection there with Trevor Davis. 2nd down.
Boy, I tell you what, that was some shot there by Tom Johnson right in the face of Brett Hundley. Check out the deep route. They try that double move. They give it a shot against Trey Waynes and just a little overthrown. I don't know exactly what happened to Davis, but Will Johnson just drilled Hundley at the tail end of that play. Looked like Davis had a little bit of a chance for that ball if he'd laid out.
Green 18! Green 10!
Play action on 2nd and 10. Now they go deep again down the sideline, and laying out for it is Randall Cobb, but he can't come up with it. Smith is back there covering on the play. It's 3rd down and 10.
Well, basically, Mackenzie Alexander was beaten on this play. A little out and up there by Cobb. He's going to get beaten. And then Harrison Smith from center field comes flying over. And even if Cobb had caught that ball, I don't think there's any way he would have been able to hold on to that thing, because he would have taken a big-time shot. But that is 2 plays now that they've had out of Hundley where they had a chance for something big.
No completions tonight, over 10 yards. And 3rd down and 10. Play clock at 1. Good protection that time, and then it's caught. At the 39-yard line, he goes to Jeff Janis for the completion. So they convert on 3rd and long.
That was the best play we've seen out of Hundley so far. He went all the way through his projection. Watch him go start to left, back to the right, and then find across the field. Janis finally popping open. So a good drive so far from Hundley.
Janis' first catch of the season. Coming in the 15th game. Williams to the 36-yard line.
Yeah, just about the time you start to get something going, you can basically count on Mike Zimmer and George Edwards to start bringing the tricks. That time they brought the slot blitz from Terrence Newman. So when you can start getting down here in scoring range, you're going to start seeing a few things a little bit different.
Last time Green Bay got into scoring range, Harrison Smith came up with an interception.
Yeah, be careful of this Michael Clark down here, 6'6" receiver at the bottom of the screen. He's a guy that definitely has some leaping ability.
Number 89. Split wide to the left. Number goes in that direction, intended for Cobb. That's incomplete. Pressure put on by Anthony Barr. It's 3rd down and 7 for the Packers.
And anytime Anthony Barr gets anywhere close to a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, you're going to get a bit of a reaction from that. He comes off the end of the line of scrimmage, number 55, and a little playful shove.
His old college teammate. Not quite the same with Rodgers in week 6. 3rd and 7. Hundley fires, and off the fingertips and incomplete of Lance Kendricks. And so it is 4th and 7.
Everything was perfect. Jamal Williams made a great blitz pickup there. Absolutely had this thing nailed. Wide open receiver. You just have to make the catch. When you have a young quarterback and you're struggling with points, you have to make plays like that. And now it's too far for a field goal, I would think.
54.
There you go.
Right. So Crosby was ready to come out onto the field, but they'll pass up a chance at a 54-yard field goal. Very tough, obviously, on a night like tonight, and go for it. And on 4th down and 7, Hundley tries to keep it alive by going deep downfield where nobody is there. Michael Clark, the closest. Turned it over on downs, and Minnesota still leads 10-0 at Lambeau. Always fun driving up to Lambeau Field. Nothing quite like it around the National Football League. Halfway through the third quarter, Minnesota taking over on downs. Start from the 36. Keenum, play action, deep downfield, and incomplete, intended for Laquan Treadwell. Good coverage that time by Lindsey Pipkin, 2nd down.
Oh, we've been talking about him all night. Case Keenum, let's put him on the old tracer and clock and see how he does. Pretty classic motion there, nothing wrong with that. 0.35 seconds, not the quickest, but not the slowest either. Plenty quick enough to play in this league. And I think it's really been his mental gymnastics and ability to read defenses that has made such a difference for this team.
2nd and 10, and Murray busts his way to midfield and a 1st down. You know, you think about Keenum and the fact that last year he was with the Rams. They moved from St. Louis to Los Angeles. They draft Jared Goff #1, but don't give him the starting job. They give it to Keenum, and he wins 3 of his first 4 games. Then by midseason, it was time to make the change under Jeff Fisher. And one thing about Keenum is they signed him this year to a 1-year deal. 3 quarterbacks with Minnesota. You got Bradford, you got Keenum, and Teddy Bridgewater, and that's a great story in and of itself. None of those guys are under contract for next year.
That's right, and we understand now that Sam Bradford possibly could come back before this season is up. So that makes it interesting. Teddy Bridgewater came back a few weeks ago, and that was an incredible ovation he got the other day.
Had a terrible, what looked to be possibly career-ending injury in training camp a year ago August. Now Keenum deep down the sideline and too far, intended for Thielen. Adam couldn't hit him. 3rd and 8.
Oh boy, that was wide open. That was a tremendous move that time by Thielen. The old Sluggo slant and go in and right up the field, and he wins this battle against Pipkins. Just missed the throw. You know, timing in the cold sometimes gets off. We have seen almost every quarterback throw deep tonight has been long. And I'm just not sure these receivers can get to the top end speed these quarterbacks are used to seeing.
Good point. Keenum 10 out of 18 for 96 yards. 3rd and 8 here, and
delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
3rd and 13 now.
Well, it is an interesting question, though, about the quarterback situation. Is you're going to sign, and maybe it's yet to play out here. I mean, you just don't, if Case Keenum goes on and wins the Super Bowl, I mean, they're going to sign him then.
Right.
But if not, you know, Sam Bradford set records in his full season before he got hurt early this year. So who knows how it's going to play out.
I mean, it's been a crazy turn of events. 3rd and 13. And Keenum's going to take off. Maybe. And then he's going to throw it. And that's caught. And trying to get a 1st down. And getting it is David Morgan, who gets to the 29-yard line. Go figure. He's going to run with it. Then he backs up. Then he hits Morgan. And Morgan breaks a couple of tackles and picks up a 1st down.
Let's take a look.
Gain of 24.
Did Case Keenum go across that line? Nope. Came back.
And before they can even have a chance to look at it again, it's McKinnon to the 28. Did McCarthy get the flag out before the play to challenge? So McCarthy was able to get the challenge flag out. Did he get it out?
He may not want it out. I tell you, that Case Keenum is Houdini.
Yeah.
He keeps getting out of stuff. He even got the flag out of McCarthy's wallet. Guess it wasn't in his wallet, but.
The challenge flag was not recognized prior to the ball being snapped. 12 players on the field, defense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Yeah, what else could go wrong? See, the red line is the line of scrimmage. Is he across the line? That's what McCarthy was attempting to challenge. Never crossed it. Really didn't even get to within a yard of it.
That was a great play, not only by Case Keenum, but David Morgan as well. He was well short of that first down if the Packers could have made a tackle.
1st and 5 from the 25. To the outside, and that is hauled in by Murray. Gain of 6. We go to Michelle.
Well, you guys were talking about the Vikings quarterback situation. Sam Bradford had surgery on that left knee in early November. It was reportedly a cleanup, though when I spoke to him before the game, he would not confirm that for me. But he said the knee feels a lot better than prior to the surgery. He is eligible to return to practice, though he said he hasn't yet. And he can be activated in time for the playoffs. When I asked him about that, he said, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Al.
It's going to be fascinating, Michelle, to watch how this plays out down the stretch here. From the 19-yard line, a first down. But remember how this all played out. Bridgewater was going to be the guy for the future. Then he had the horrible injury. So what were they going to do? They went out and they traded for Bradford, who was going to lose his job to Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Sam comes in. The team gets off to a great start last year, and he's going to be the guy this year. Then he gets hurt opening day. Who knows if Bridgewater's ever going to come back, which of course he then does last week. And then you get Keenum in the mix. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team that was so good at the start, 5-0 last year, and it fell apart from there.
2nd and 9, and Diggs makes the catch, and that will move the change instead of a first down and goal.
Well, nobody's been better this season outside the pocket than Case Keenum. 8 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Nobody's even close to that. The top quarterback rating when he's outside the pocket as well. And part of it is, once again, these receivers, not only their acrobatic catches on those challenge balls, but also their ability to run after the catch.
3.5 left in the third, a first and goal from the 7. Murray to the 6-yard line he goes.
And we're seeing quite a bit of Latavius Murray tonight. Jerick McKinnon usually gets a pretty good split of the action. McKinnon is much more the X factor. Murray more the downhill, one cut, maybe fits this field tonight, the cold weather. McKinnon, though, you never know where he's going to end up. He's all over the place. Speaking all over the place, a lot of superstar players for the Packers all over the bench.
Good half the starting lineup under the hood. Murray to the 2-yard line. 3rd and goal. Murray's carried the ball 17 times tonight for 62 yards.
It's one of the things, though, you like about the Minnesota Vikings. They have a lot of ways to win. Number one way is their defense. Obviously, case in point here tonight. Can't beat them if you can't score a point. But offensively, they have enough in the passing game. They have enough in the scrambling quarterback situation. And now they're starting to establish this running game with Latavius Murray.
Keenum on a 3rd and goal to Murray. Good tackle. Number 41, that's Lindsey Pipkins coming up from the corner to make it 4th down.
Yeah, this is the old crack replace, right? When the outside receiver comes down, that means that guy has to fill up. And cornerbacks typically do not like to have to make open field tackles against big running backs. Let's give Lindsey Pipkins a little credit on that one. That was a nice play.
Hold him to a field goal attempt of 20 yards now. Ty Forbath. Again, David Morgan now is the snapper, the backup snapper. And getting it down is the holder, Quigley. Nice job there. Morgan's snap a little high, but it all works out in the end. 13-0.
Let's get the one with the candy cane.
Well, Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital, the same hospital where Kyle Rudolph's end zone opened this week. So it's 13-0. Kickoff is fielded at the 1 by Trevor Davis, and he gets tripped up at the 34. Big anniversary coming up on New Year's Eve. It'll be the Ice Bowl, the fabled game here. You got Landry and you got Lombardi. You got Bart Starr in action. Coldest game in the history of the National Football League. You got the great Kramer block. You got Green Bay going on to win. Here it is as Starr takes it in. Lombardi exults.
That guy was there. He still hasn't thawed out.
The records go all the way back to the Ice Age. Hundley. That's caught by Geronimo, dropped by Geronimo Allison, so it'll be second down. So, always wanted to do weather, right? Traffic.
Do it all the time.
Traffic and weather on the 10s. So there was the weather in Green Bay, -13 at kickoff, coldest game in the history of the NFL on New Year's Eve. The lowest average temperature that day was -6.5. It got down at one point that day to -19.
We should have gone tubing that day.
Absolutely. And that's the lowest for any New Year's Eve day in the history of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Meanwhile, the traffic on the interstate is flowing very, very nicely right now. Here's your full report.
Dr. Doppler.
Right. Right now it's 5, feels like 1, and it's crystal clear with the wind at 8 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's really the thing saving this game is that it's not really strong winds blowing around. You understand why people put cheese on their heads here. You put everything on your head, right? I mean, whatever it takes. I don't know if they, do you think they have fur-lined cheese head things?
Hot cheese.
Yeah, that could be nasty.
Oh, yes, very. 3rd down and 9. Unleading the fake. Going to take off. He's had 2 big runs tonight of 24 and 22, but not here. Not here, not now. Trey Waynes stops him. Crowd's very frustrated, and it's 4th down.
Well, you can't be frustrated with the effort the young man puts forward. You can tell he's playing his guts out, but for Hundley, for whatever reason, in this building, it just doesn't happen.
That will be the end of the 3rd. Minnesota 13, Green Bay nothing. And the special edition of Sunday Night Football back after this. Lambeau Field, 4th quarter, about to begin. Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya. 13-0, and we'll start with a Green Bay punt. 6th of the night from Vogel, who's not having a very good night, even though he's having a pretty good season. Back in 30 seconds.
Oh,
by Geico. Lambeau Field, home of the Packers since 1957. They've expanded and remodeled. Done a heck of a job with it.
Still packed.
Absolutely.
Teams out of it.
Yep.
Nobody's left.
And it's 4 degrees at the moment. Murray up to the 28-yard line.
The guy who had his shirt off, he might be leaving in a few minutes. They have fun. No matter where you go in Green Bay, they're the nicest people, right? No matter where you go, they love football. And there he is. He's gone soft. He put his shirt back on.
Come on.
Overalls. And this guy's not happy about that at all. So take it off.
Take it all off. 2nd and 8 from the 29. Keenum It just slipped out of bounds over on the Minnesota bench, and it'll be third down. Outside the pocket for Keenum when he can get out there through week 15. 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he has the best rating in the NFL.
You know, and I know it's a very different story. There goes another Riley Reef off. He was inactive a week ago with an ankle injury.
Rashad Hill will take his spot at left tackle. Reef, one of their pickups in the offseason. Play with Detroit. And it's third down and 10 at the 27. Look out. Keenum gets it away, and the pass is incomplete. The pressure was put on Kenny Clark, knocked Keenum to the ground, and it's fourth down.
Boy, that was some shot right there from Kenny Clark. Working right inside there and just drills. He went right around Jeremiah Searles. But I'll tell you one thing. I don't think you could do anything to knock Case Keenum out of a ball game right now. This guy knows he's got the run of a lifetime going right now.
Dream season for him. Quigley's punt. Collected at the 35 by Trevor Davis. Down he goes at the 48-yard line with 13 and a half to go. 13-0 Vikings. That's been quite a matchup tonight. Two great players. And David Bakhtiari, I mean, he is just immovable.
I think clearly the best pass blocking tackle in football. A pressure allowed every 62 snaps, which is pretty remarkable.
Green Bay now begins this drive from the 47-yard line with 13 and a half to play. Jamal Williams takes the ball across the 50 to the 49-yard line.
Let's take a look at this shutout so far delivered by David Bakhtiari. Just watch his feet move. There aren't many big guys that can stay in front of some of these athletic outside pass rushers the way that Bakhtiari can, but it is, sometimes it's a fist fight, sometimes a hand fight, but you will see his feet moving all the time. He is something special on that edge.
Second and 6.
Blue 58. Easy, heavy right. Blue 58. Blue 58.
Huntley throws, and that's caught. That's a first down. That's Michael Clark. Big wide out at 6'6", rookie out of Marshall, making the catch, moving the sticks.
Yeah, that time Huntley saw Anthony Barr on the outside, and you heard him say easy. That means the next words out of his mouth were going to be the snap count. So he's saying easy, guys, don't jump. So I have to change the play. Picked up a big first down.
Set up. Green 18. Green 10.
Four-man pressure. Good protection. Huntley throws, and making the catch is Clark again. So he's found Clark on back-to-back plays to set him up.
Heck of a catch if he hangs on to it, does he? Yes, he does. Cradles it. No wonder he can get up. He was busy trying to make that catch. But this is a young man, Michael Clark, 6'6". He's been out there. He's 217 pounds. You see him running around in practice, and this guy is a specimen. I keep thinking they're going to give him a shot, something high down the field, let him see if he can go jump ball one. Here comes Harrison Smith out the line of scrimmage.
Green 18, green 10.
Williams. Gain of 6.
You know, there's always this little cat and mouse game going on. And when Harrison Smith comes down here, you always want to check away from that safety because They don't have anybody on the backside to block the safety down. He's the 8th guy. So the traditional thing to do is if you've got to check with me at the line of scrimmage, safety comes down one way, you run the other. Of course, Mike Zimmer, by that point, rotated the defense the other way. There goes Smith back.
2nd and 4. Running into a wall that time is Williams. So that's going to make it 3rd down and 4 at the 14-yard line.
You know, it's really amazing. As much as this game has been lopsided in one way, when you think about it, it was the Minnesota Vikings got one big pass interference call that led to their touchdown. And when the Packers had a drive going down, they threw an interception to Harrison Smith, and that's really about the only difference in the game.
Hey, ho, ho, ho!
3rd and 3. Hundley over the middle, and it's dropped. Would have been a 1st and goal at worst. That's Lance Kendricks to make it 4th down. So it's a 13-point game. What does McCarthy want to do here? He's not sending in his field goal group, at least at the moment.
Tough night for Lance Kendricks, guy that played for the Rams, and I think he got used to the temperature out there. He just had a tough time tonight.
Right, Wisconsin guy. So McCarthy figuring a field goal is really not going to do you that much good here with 10 minutes to play against this Minnesota defense. You got to try to convert, and he will here on the 4th and 3.
And they had an issue out there.
Had to take a timeout. The two head coaches as we get set for a 4th and 3. After the Green Bay timeout, line of scrimmage is the 13. 3 receivers set to the right. Now moves Allison back into the slot. Good protection to the end zone and incomplete. Tried to get it to Clark. He was covered there by Xavier Rhodes. And Green Bay turns it over on downs. Minnesota with the ball again and a 13-0 lead at Lambeau.
Mr. Grinch, you really are.
The sellout at Lambeau Field. And most of the folks still here. It's 4 degrees. Minnesota with the ball at the 14-yard line. McKinnon
there he goes.
Springs to the outside. And a 1st down. Jerick McKinnon, he and Murray, nice 1-2 combo.
Yeah, we saw Lindsey Pipkins make a play before, but not on this guy. There is some of the quickness, the elusiveness. You know, Latavius Murray is that big, powerful guy, and you get used to seeing a certain speed, and he's going to try and run over, and all of a sudden you put the jet in there, and he makes runs like that. And so it's that juxtaposition of those two guys that makes it really tough to just kind of hone in on their style of running.
120, what's that?
1st down from the 31. Keenan fires, and that's dropped. Incomplete. Intended for Diggs. Had position on Pipkins. Couldn't hold it in. 2nd down and 10.
You know, I'll say this about Case Keenum. No turnovers tonight for the Vikings. They rely on the defense. It's exactly what they should be doing. But when he misses on the safe side of receivers. You don't see him make throws behind receivers and put himself in danger of a turnover.
Yeah, where's the slot? Yeah.
On the ground. Nice run again by McKinnon. Taking it up close to a 1st down. Spotting it at the 41-yard line.
The young rookie center, Pat Elflein, getting in there and digging some people out now. He's really one of those guys you think of a little bit more as a speed guy, 2nd level pull. He has the ability to get a little nasty in there too. Took Jake Ryan right to the ground.
8:45 remaining in regulation. 3rd and 1. And it should be the first down. So we'll see if Carl Cheffers brings out the index card here.
It's been banned.
I think the boys told him it's no good anymore.
There you go. He got underneath everybody, didn't he? Right down low, taking full advantage of his opportunity. He doesn't care.
And chewing up the clock as well. Again, you know, one thing that Minnesota has going, Chris, is the fact that last week they gave up their first points of the game to Cincinnati with 6:22 remaining. They have not pitched a shutout since 1993. And right now they're 7 minutes and 40 seconds away from pitching their first shutout in 24 seasons.
And if you watch that Cincinnati game, you know they had about half the defense was backups when they got that touchdown. So maybe some of his defensive players brought it up to him this week.
Could be. 2nd and 7. This game is closer than that game was, too. David Morgan makes the catch here.
Yeah, a little tip of the cap as well to this Green Bay defense. Zimmer understands that defense is about opportunity, and half of those guys you probably need your program for to figure out who all is playing out there. Anytime you have some of your star players just out of the game, especially in this secondary, boy, especially the cornerback position this year has just been a train wreck for this team.
3rd down and 4. Gets it away, and that's incomplete. Hung in the pocket again. Took a hit from Reggie Gilbert. Diggs was the intended receiver. 4th down.
Pretty interesting there. Case Keenum, you could tell he wasn't comfortable with where Diggs was and waited for him to make that second move, but he knew he was going to take a shot by waiting for him, but was willing to do that anyway and just missed. Sam Bradford taking all those shots. Remember that? Sure. Behind that offensive line last year? I think it was a Green Bay game, like second game of the year when he came in and played so well and just got hit after every throw.
Low snap. Boogie gets it away. Fair catch is called for. Not sure why. You normally don't make a fair catch at the 5-yard line. But so it goes with 6:40 left in regulation. Christmas Day, tune in 4 o'clock Eastern time. The Steelers go down to Houston. Big game for Pittsburgh in terms of playoff positioning. A lot can happen between now and next Sunday, and they're down there to meet the Texans. You'll see it on NBC and the NFL Network, 4 o'clock on Christmas Day. Green Bay now from the 5. Catch is made by Michael Clark, making his NFL debut tonight. Well, there are only 2 guys in the history of the NFL who have started a game at quarterback by the name of Brett. Want to take a guess?
I know 2 of them.
there are only 2. And you're looking at the other one right now on a 2nd down and 3. Deep downfield. Intended for Cobb. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Well, I know one Brett that would have been really upset if he watched this all night long. It has been a tough night for the receivers of the Green Bay Packers. And remember, they've been down in scoring range twice and came away with nothing on either of those. And for that Brett, any one of those plays and could have turned the game.
3rd and 3 from the 12-yard line. And they convert here on a short pass up to the 16. Caught by Kendricks. Under 6 minutes now to play.
Well, the one thing we've seen that's turned this game into Packers' favor is an occasional run, not from Aaron Rodgers, but from Brett Hundley. We've seen a lot of them from Aaron Rodgers. Well, you take for granted coming to this ballpark and watching him play, don't you? Just how good and how much talent that guy has.
Well, excess of riches, the last 2 quarterbacks over almost a quarter century now. That pass is incomplete here. 2nd and 10. That's a pretty good press. Aces in the hole, isn't it?
Get a little spoiled.
Very. Second and 10. That's caught. Trying to get away is Allison, and he was contacted a little shy of the first down, gain of 9. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
You know, Geronimo Allison, the one that fumbled at the end of the game after they recovered the onside kick against Carolina. And if he had not, who knows, we might have seen Aaron Rodgers in this game here tonight.
Very possible. Because last week in Carolina, lost by 1 score.
Green 18! Green 10!
3rd and 1. It's enough for a first down here for Jamal Williams. So moving the ball, but taking a lot of time off the clock, and we go to Michelle.
Well, I got a chance to speak with Aaron Rodgers before the game, and, you know, he did confirm that surgery to put 2 plates and 13 screws in, it was to realign the bone, the collarbone, and allow it to heal. He had a displaced fracture, he told me. He said he'll have another scan after the season, and he plans on being able to work out fully in about a month, Al.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Had that surgery done by Neil Electrosh out in Los Angeles, and had him well enough to play last week. The pass is incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, we talked to Brett Hundley, and he said you hang around Aaron Rodgers enough, you start to move like he does. Well, watch this one. Just watch the feet. You ever see that out of number 12 around here? I mean, he looks like Muhammad Ali. Going to give it the shuffle here in a minute. Guess he just got tired.
Right. Tired of finding nobody open.
Yeah.
Second and 10.
Go, 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 go. Green 18! Green 10!
That pass is incomplete. Dumped it off underneath, intended for Williams. 3rd and 10. Vikings trying to close in on that first shutout in 24 seasons.
The Vikings getting incredibly close now to having that home playoff game if they can just keep it rolling here. This was a big one, having to come in here and still have to win next week depending on what Carolina does. But can you imagine the scene if this team somehow, some way gets to have 3 straight playoff games, including the Super Bowl in their own building?
Unbelievable. Hundley, and that pass is incomplete. Intended there for Jeff Janis. It'll be 4th down. Saw that note about the longest streaks without a shutout, Redskins and Cardinals. Those are all current. And the Vikings can get off their schneid tonight in another 4 minutes and 3 seconds. So 4th down from the 29. Packers 0 for 2 on 4th down tonight. Hundley protected well. Deep downfield. Little hand fighting. No flag. Incomplete. Intended there for Michael Clark. Covered by Trey Waynes. And Minnesota will get the ball in Green Bay territory. Turning it over on downs with less than 4 to play. Go back a year ago, 2016, you had the Cowboys on top in the East, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Seahawks leading the divisions. This year, Eagles, Vikings, Saints, Rams. Everyone a new one. Well, that's the NFL these days. A lot of change.
After the play was over,
a lot of worse to first, too.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, Green Bay. That penalty was enforced half the distance to the goal. First down, Minnesota.
I think Devontae Adams may have come off the bench. Somebody, yeah, there he was. Right. Comes out on the field. He's inactive tonight. He's frustrated. Maybe wanted pass interference on that pass intended for Clark. Whatever. Cost him 15. Minnesota has the ball at the 14-yard line. Murray gets stood up right at the line of scrimmage.
It was interesting. Case Keenum the other day came home and some snow, and so he's like everybody out shoveling the snow, right? And so his next door neighbors come running out of the house. What are you doing? What are you doing? So the next time he came home for practice and there was snow on the ground, 2 of his neighbors were out shoveling his sidewalks and his driveway. They do not want the quarterback on this Super Bowl run out shoveling his own snow.
They went out to buy groceries, bought him a new car.
Yeah, whatever.
Sent him some caviar. 2nd down and 9 from the 14. Murray to the 9-yard line.
And I understand that he is not Kurt Warner, but Case Keenum, pretty good story.
It's a great story. Green Bay just took a timeout. Yeah, everybody is thinking about Warner, who came, of course, in 1999 with the Rams when Trent Green got hurt in preseason, and nobody knew who Kurt Warner was. And the next thing you know, he was the MVP of the regular season and the Super Bowl MVP. And he had one of those unbelievable years, which led to him going into the Hall of Fame. Keenum's a little different. I mean, Warner, nobody knew who he was. Keenum's been around a little bit. He's, he won 9 games in 4 years with the Texans and with the Rams. But still, there's a little bit of a parallel here in terms of, fantasy land.
Yeah, but you have to give Rick Spielman some credit for recognizing enough talent to make a difference if he had to play, and that's exactly what happened. More than enough talent.
3rd and 5. Toss goes to McKinnon. And he'll get taken down at the 9-yard line. And that'll stop the clock with 3 minutes on another Green Bay timeout.
But who knows? This is one of those years that I think in the AFC everybody tends to look at, what's going on in Pittsburgh and New England. I would say this: be careful of defensive football teams, right? Jacksonville has been unbelievable on the defensive side this season. They already have a win over Pittsburgh. You've got a Minnesota team that can play defense with anybody in football. So it's really easy to get enamored with offensive football and touchdowns. But as we saw through the 70s with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you play defense, you can win championships too.
You saw Morgan, who's the backup snapper. Kevin McDermott got hurt in the first half. So once again, the backup snapper. Ball is placed down. And Forbath's kick is good to make it 16-0.
David Morgan's starting to get comfortable. Not a lot of spire on that. There's a bit of a drifter going back there, but did the job.
Got it done. You're talking about Jacksonville and the great defense. Meanwhile, Blake Bortles, a guy who was so maligned, is having a pretty darn good year.
Yeah, who was it? Jadeveon Clowney said he was trash, and then all the Jacksonville fans started sending trash cans out to Jadeveon Clowney, who then filled them up with toys and sent them out to the kids. So what the heck? That time of year, everybody's figuring out a way to do something nice.
Well, as usual, we head to the playoffs. A lot of great stories around the NFL. Of course, Keenum, clearly one of those. You got Nick Foles now in Philadelphia. I mean, go figure that one out. A guy who was a longtime starter, had the 1 year, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then he's on the bench. Then you got Wentz getting hurt. Foles throws 4 touchdown passes last week. It's Fackrell running it back.
Do not rest on this defense, I tell you, because Trey Waynes now has been making plays in this ball game. We know what Xavier Rhodes can do on the other side. Harrison Smith just absolutely brilliant tonight, made a huge difference. Linval Joseph, the hammer inside for the Vikings, and just keep going on. Look at all the guys around the ball carrier. Where are you going to make a cut there? And this is a team now that is in their 4th year with this style. Another Packers player down here.
Geronimo by Allison.
But they are tough. They are really good. I remember a few years ago thinking that, okay, where are the weaknesses on the Vikings? And they were undecided on a couple of guys, but Andrew Sendejo, and now you've got, even in Lambeau Field, the skull chant of the Vikings louder than whatever the Packers fans are doing.
Kings of the North. 2 out of the last 3 years. Well, the two cities, not that far apart through the years. Plenty of Viking fans at Packer games and vice versa. And they can exult tonight because their team is on their way to victory number 12. Hundley flushed out again. And just fires it into the bench. A little shout out here to George Edwards, too, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings. You always think about the head coach as being the guy. Defensive coordinator right there.
Those two guys work well together. They sure do. And you know, Al, they have been running the same system now for 4 years with basically the same guys. And it's sort of gone from high school to college to graduate school. And I don't know where they're heading next, because this team doesn't make big mistakes. You don't see them blowing coverages and leaving guys running free down the middle of the defense.
Only on the 2nd and 10. And that pass is incomplete. And a flag is down. Relatively penalty-free game tonight.
Offensive linemen don't look too excited about this big win.
Holding, number 69, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It's Bakhtiari. You can only block so long, I guess, and then sooner or later the yellow will come out.
I tell you, you know, Mike Zimmer, you talked about it earlier, 20 years as an assistant. I didn't know if he was ever going to get a head coaching opportunity, but you knew by the way the players in Cincinnati talked about him. Little fear factor, little Bill Parcells maybe in him, but he got their attention and they were good there, and they've been even better here.
2nd and 20, and that's caught. Gain of 18. Lance Kendricks, they'll hustle up to the line of scrimmage. Yeah, Zimmer very close to Bill Parcells, says he talks to him every week. Bill normally calls him about 6 in the morning, wants to know if he's up yet. He's up, he's watching film.
After he compliments him, he said, you know, you're looking fat on TV now.
Needs to work out. 3rd and 1. Deep downfield, and that's incomplete. Intended for Michael Clark, covered by Mackenzie Alexander. 4th down. We talked about it before. When you see Mike Zimmer wearing sunglasses on the sideline, you know, the detached retina last year, 8 procedures. He's a tough guy. He just keeps on rolling. Doesn't look for any sympathy or whatever. He told us last night, though, he says, you know, sometimes I reach out to shake somebody's hand. You know, I sort of have to have them find my hand.
Yeah, the depth perception not quite there, but he knows how to call defenses, doesn't he?
He does. So on 4th and 1, Hundley tries to keep it alive and has that picked at the 48-yard line by Smith. And that's the 2-minute warning. Harrison with his 2nd pick tonight and his 3rd against Green Bay in the 2 meetings this season. 1:57 to go, and the Vikes on their way to win number 12. Michelle interviewing the star of the game. Liam McHugh will break down the playoff picture. Chris and I will preview Monday's Steelers-Texans matchup coming up right after the game.
Not a position the Green Bay Packers are used to being in. They can make plans for about 8 or 9 days from now.
Go back a long way. First time in 9 years that Green Bay will not be playing in the postseason. In Minnesota right now, just looking ahead to knocking off Chicago next week and making sure they get the bye and next play in the divisional round the second weekend of January. Second shutout against the Packers in the series between these two. Go back to 1971.
That was a great shot of Mike Zimmer over hugging Terrence Newman, who's 39 years old now, and has been with him at least 3 different stops along the way.
Right. Down to Cincinnati and Minnesota.
I would say congratulations to Rick Spielman as well.
You bet.
You know, he hit on a whole bunch of draft picks along the way. This defense, for the most part, built through the draft, and then they filled in the gaps on offense, but they are a force on the defensive side.
Trying to become the first team to play in a Super Bowl in their home stadium. February 4th will be Super Bowl 52 right here on NBC at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. So the Vikings get their first shutout in 24 years. They keep on rolling. The two Mikes meeting at midfield. And the Minnesota Vikings ready to wrap up their season next week at home against the Chicago Bears. There's your final score, 16-0 Vikings. Coming up next, Volkswagen post-game report after these messages from your NBC station.